Yes, my name is David. If you like the channel, please like and subscribe. If you're new to the channel and you want to keep up to date with the videos that I do, please like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter at FacesIdeas. Now, in this video, we're going to go talk about fake news. More specifically, the Green New Deal fake news, because this is relevant because in all likelihood, something like this is going to come up if AOC actually debates Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, over the last couple of days, the Daily Mail read an absolutely insane, boneheaded article. I'm not pulling up the actual article because it says I have to disable my pop-up blocker, and if your site tells me I have to disable my pop-up blocker to look at what your article is, I'm not doing it because I don't want whatever viruses you're going to try to give me. So we're just going to look at the headline of the article, and then we're going to look at where this idea came from. We're going to look at some of the fear-mongering that Donald Trump Jr., Laura Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Larry Kudlow put out about this. And then we're going to discuss why this is a constant thing with Republicans, this general fear-mongering. So let's take a look at the article. Article headline from Daily Mail. Keep in mind, the Daily Mail is a British right-wing publication that more often than not is unreliable. How Biden's climate plan could limit you to just eat one burger a month. One burger a month costs $3.5K a year per person in taxes and force you to spend $55K on an electric car and crush American jobs. That is a scary, scary headline. Now remember, we hear all the time from conservatives. I don't remember if it was Charlie Kirk or Tucker Carlson who said that if Biden wins, we're all going to be forced to buy Starbucks every day. This is part of what they do. They hyper-centralize things, and they fearmonger about things that aren't even happening. Originally, when the Green New Deal, the first draft of it, the one-pager that wasn't really a draft, it was just like an idea bulletin, came out, the argument was, oh, we're going to get rid of all your planes, and we're going to make you put a tax on farting, and we're going to get rid of cows. That was their talking points. So Daniel Dale is a fact checker for CNN, and this is basically his response to what I'm going to show you is under the recap of what this article says. This study. In children's terms, the study found that if people reduce eating meat by a lot, emissions would fall a lot. Daily Mail was like, Biden wants to cut emissions by a lot. Therefore, he'll force people to reduce meat eating by the same amount from this random study. That's what it is. This random study that was looking at how eating of the American eating habits affects climate change from 2020, and Joe Biden saying I want to cut emissions, but they haven't really gone into it. At the end we'll look at the fact sheet from the White House. So they took those two things and they combined them. So let's look at this. This is a University of Michigan study. It says the implications of future U.S. diet scenarios on greenhouse gas emissions. Now, I've discussed in passing about green energy that although I do enjoy eating meat, I know that the way we do it currently is just not good for the environment. Like the amount of greenhouse gases we produce for the farming that we do it's just not healthy for the planet. So yes, ultimately shifting to a more plant-based diet would be better for the environment, and it would probably be better for people's health. I'm not ready for it because I like to eat my meat, but here's what it says here. So the total emissions associated with the average U.S. diet amounts to 5 kilograms of CO2 per person per day. So basically what it says is that if you have a massive, if you have a high-based meat diet, it's like 5.4 kilograms per day. But if you shift to a more plant-based food scenario, it's a 35% decrease per person. And under this, further reducing consumption of beef to only 10% of the baseline value and subsequent replacement with plant-based proteins cuts the diet-related emissions to 2.4. So it's a 51% decrease. So what it says basically is if we cut out 90% of the red meat in our diets and we shifted to plants, this is not a thing that anyone is proposing. They're saying we did this study based on math to see what it would be. It would cut out carbon emissions by about 50% per person per day. Now, everything I'm about to show you is fear-mongering, but it's also worth mentioning that pollution, part of the reason we have such a massive pollution problem is because of how it's been framed. It's been framed as an individual reasoning for how to stop climate change. You have to recycle. You have to use the straws. You have to walk more. But 70% of all pollution that is produced comes from 100 companies. So this idea that it's one individual can change the tide is just not true. We have to make systematic changes, and we have to crack down on the pollution of these actual companies. So let's take a look at the notoriously high-brained, big brains arguments made by Donald Trump Jr., Marjorie Taylor Greene, Laura Boebert, and Mr. Always Wrong himself, Larry Kudlow. So here was a Fox News segment, Up on Your Grill, Biden's climate requirements. Biden's climate requirements. Keep in mind, none of these things have been released. He hasn't really released any of his climate proposals yet. This is just his general ideas to lower it. So it says, cut 90% of red meat from diet, max 4 pounds per year, 1 burger per month. Now, this all comes from here, which is a misunderstanding of what this article says. And in response, Donald Trump Jr. says, I'm pretty sure I ate 4 pounds of red meat yesterday. This is going to be a hard no for me. Cool, Don. That's great. Then this is Marjorie Taylor Greene. No burgers for thee, but just for me. This is their same argument that always, Democrats are hypocrites because they want to do things for you, but they want to legislate how you live your life, but not them. So then we have Lauren Boebert, who says, Joe Biden's climate plan includes cutting 90% of red meat from our diets by 2030. They want to limit us to about 4 pounds a year. Why doesn't Joe stay out of my kitchen? Now, 2 things here. Once again, that's not true. 2, I can't wait for the tweet at some point when somebody asks her to point out where it says this in her in the plan, and she says either it's there or that's what it says in the Green New Deal, or I haven't read it. That's what I'm hoping for. Because keep in mind, when you hear a lot of these things, they're fear-mongering, especially from the 3 people I just pointed out to. They have no idea what was actually in policy. They're just making stuff up. Marjorie Taylor Greene has already admitted she has no idea what's in the Green New Deal till last week. It was 14 pages and she hadn't read it. But she'd been harping on it for years. I imagine Lauren Boebert hasn't read it either. But she certainly hasn't read Joe Biden's climate plan because it does not say this. Also, on the other hand, Lauren Boebert famously gave her customers, because she used to run a restaurant in where their thing is called Shooters, and the shtick of that restaurant was, we have all of our servers are armed. And the reason her argument was, well, somebody got beat to death outside of my restaurant, which just wasn't true. That's not what happened. So yes, maybe Joe Biden should be staying in your kitchen, because the more people are in your kitchen, the more you're going to get food poisoning. Now we're going to go to perpetually wrong person, Larry Kudlow. And he says, this is his headline: Biden's Green New Deal means no meat for the 4th of July, have grilled Brussels sprouts instead, which are supposed to be better for you. Anyway, it does not mean that. This is the other argument. They're saying, oh, how dare Joe Biden cancel the 4th of July. He didn't say that. He said, even in the original speech, which I covered, he said, if we're still surging, it's not going to be safe to be with your family. And immediately the Republicans' response is, you can't cancel 4th of July. I'm an American. It is my right to give COVID to whoever I want. Let's be clear. When this battle came against the world, against COVID, a vast majority of Republicans, not just in America, but across conservatives across the world, sided with the virus. you can't give me lockdown measures. I'm not going to take the vaccine. I'm going to just, cough in people's faces. I'm going to spread different disinformation. That's helping the virus, not humanity. So what did he actually say? Speaking of stupid, there's a study coming out of Michigan which says that to meet Biden's Green New Deal targets, America has to, get this, America has to stop eating meats, stop eating poultry and fish, seafood, eggs, dairy, and animal-based fats. Okay, got that? Now, that's not what this study said. I've shown it to you. What the study says is if we cut these things out, having nothing to do with the Green New Deal, because when was this study published? It was published January 13th, 2020. So that would require that Donald Trump was still president then. So this came out a year ago. And Joe Biden wouldn't be president for another year. So this is just wrong. No burger on July 4th, doesn't say that. No steaks on the barbecue, doesn't say that. I'm sure Middle America is going to love that. Can you grill those Brussels sprouts? So get ready. You could throw back a plant-based beer with your grilled Brussels sprouts and wave your American flag. Call it July 4th green. Now, Larry Keller, what the fuck are you drinking? Beer is made out of plants. If you're drinking a meat-based beer, what the hell is that? That's like insane. And then here we have, this is the other thing I'm going to talk about. This is a constant Republican talking point. Democrats don't mean what they say about climate change because they still fly in a plane. Democrats don't mean what they mean about wealth inequality because they're wealthy. So there's this. So Democrats who plan to vote on Green New Deal policies must lead by example. Dems must immediately stop flying on planes, convert all your electrical needs to wind and solar, buy an electric vehicle, stop using any products that are made with oil, and stop eating beef. Now, look, if we had high-speed rail, planes would probably be less useful. We don't have the infrastructure to move to a fully green economy. The electric vehicles are still being made to be better. How does all this stuff happen? Well, Joe Biden's plan, his jobs plan, calls for investments into these things. But that's socialism. So a new thing that I'm going to start doing is every time I see one, and I hope that people who watch me do the same thing, is the people who see Democrats argue or Republicans argue that everything is infrastructure, respond everything is socialism. Healthcare, socialism. Taxes on the rich, socialism. College, socialism. Green energy, socialism. Mass mandates, socialism. Everything is socialism. Helping the vets, which is always their argument, socialism. Everything is socialism. It all means nothing. So this is a disingenuous thing because, as already explained, it's the companies who produce the pollution, and we don't yet have the ability to do these things. And I'm glad that, she's managed to read all 14 pages to become an expert in the last week. So here's a fact sheet. What does the Joe Biden's plan call for? This is for pushing for jobs. So what is going to happen is they're going to work on each segment. So everything that the Biden administration does, with the exception of the COVID bill, is going to have something to do with climate change. Everything is based on climate change. Every sector that they're going to work on is going to have some climate proposal. We see it in the Jobs Act with the development of green technology and refurbishing houses. So here's some: invest in infrastructure innovation, fuel on economic recovery that creates jobs, breathe clean air, drink clean water, and advance environmental justice. These are very important. All of these things were rolled back under Trump. A whole government approach is what I discussed about earlier. So they're going to talk to all of the groups as they do this and multiple different ways to get rid of it. So the goal is by 2035 to be 100% carbon pollution free electricity. So look, let's wrap this. The Biden plan does not call for getting rid of your meat. Anytime you see somebody say that, they're misinformed by this article purposely, or unintentionally purposely by stupid people who don't understand what they're talking about. So look, We don't know what's in Joe Biden's Green New Deal plan. They haven't released it yet. We know some of it because it's in the jobs program, and the way they're doing this is based on that. But no, you can still have your hamburgers on the 4th of July. Just get vaccinated and we will be fine. Now, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter @FacesIdeas, and I will see you in the next one.